The 5th annual Strong Style Showdown is finally here, and our most prestigious tournament to date will set the scene for our biggest show yet, Strong Style 60. Not only that, but the free agency market is starting to really heat up as former champions across WWE and AEW are coming to the end of their contracts, and it's also time to make a decision on if we go big and try and sign current top free agent Tyler Black, aka Seth Rollins, having now received competition for his signature from AEW. And if you haven't already, be sure to drop a like on this video as we look for 400 likes to help unlock the next one. Head over to Patreon where you can gain access to a whole bunch of save points from throughout this series, and go to TEWDB.com to buy TEW IX using the banner at the top of the site if you haven't already done so. At the end of the last episode, a slight road bump was put in front of us when we tried to sign Tyler Black for the upcoming Strong Style Showdown before the very next day AEW came in with an offer of their own to pick up wrestling's current top free agent. The issue is, our offer was a per show deal, $6,000 per show, whilst they came in with a huge $107,000 offer per month. This of course drove a lot of discussion in the comments as to what we should do next and whether we should compete with this offer or let him go to AEW and maybe come back to him when his 18-month contract expires, which is the offer that AEW have given him. Now, he is 43 years old, so he's getting towards the end of his career, and as somebody rightly pointed out in the comments, this being deck 123 red, his orange legs are a little bit worrying, and this offers two problems. So if we weren't to sign him now, it means we probably won't get the chance to sign him ever again if he was to pick up another knee injury. And the issue is, he's got a troublesome knee, and that's one of his attributes. And of course, that means he's more likely to pick up leg injuries. And yeah, if he picks up another one, these legs will probably go red, and that's pretty much it for his career. Now, is it worth investing in what would have to be probably a long contract in order to outbid AEW and to secure his financial future for the long term, and risking him picking up an injury and then us being bound to a $100,000 plus contract per month for the rest of, well, the time that he's active? I'm not so sure that the risk's worth taking. And another thing, we've just done a bunch of production upgrades where we're now spending a fortune, I'm not even sure how much at this point, on production costs per show and per month. And these are upgrades that we've just made, which will bring up the overall product and shows. And as well as that, we've also just reinvested a bunch of our money in our broadcaster to get it small in the United States, and that cost nearly $1 million. So whilst the bidding war of the century was about to go down, and it was something I was very tempted to do and really go head to head with AEW, what I've decided to do is to hold off and just let them have him. One thing that we could do is place a bid that's even higher than AEW's just to see them counter offer and basically cost them money, but I don't think that's even worth it, because that would mean next time his negotiation window comes around, when his contract expires, we'd probably have to pay more money then. So what we're going to do is just hope that in 18 months time he's still fit, he's still active, and that we can work with him then. But for now, we will be letting him go. But that isn't the end of the world, because there's actually some upcoming interesting free agents that will soon hit the market that we could instead get. So you can see here in WWE, there's quite a few contracts that are set to expire sort of in the next couple of months to 90 days. And yeah, there's names such as Gunther, Andrade, Kairi Sane, Cody Rhodes even, Drew McIntyre, Dominic Mysterio, Finn Balor, who would be a great signing I think for this promotion. And yeah, a lot of other names that could be soon hitting the free agency market, depending on whether WWE want to keep them or not. And I think there's even some names in AEW that will soon be hitting the free agency market. So if we look at sort of the next 90 days, you've got an Adam Page, Kazuchika Okada, who would be unbelievable for us as that kind of veteran of the heavyweight division. You've got Buddy Matthews, who's now quite a big star in AEW and has actually been a world champion at this point. Jay White, who I'd really be interested in signing. You've got Mercedes Moné as well. And yeah, a lot of names, like I say, that could soon be free agents, and I think a few of those names will leave WWE and AEW because I don't think they're going to re-sign them all. And yeah, since Seth Rollins left WWE and they let his contract expire, I think that's probably going to happen in a few of those cases as well. So instead of going all in on Seth Rollins, we're just going to see how the landscape plays out over the next few months. And I did actually have 2 plans in place, or potential plans for Seth Rollins if we were to sign him. So option 1 was to see Tyler Black versus Yuma Ayagi as kind of Yuma's big win at Strong Style 60, as he was going to continue to take on international stars or internationally known stars. And yeah, it was going to be Tyler Black versus Yuma Ayagi at Strong Style 60. Or another option was going to see, finally, for the first time ever in singles action, Kenny Omega versus Tyler Black. Now, and yeah, I was probably going to go with Yuma, but what I'm going to do instead, though, is bring in Kenny Omega to take on Yuma Ayagi now. So I'm kind of mix the 2 plans together. But what this means is we're going to have to try and get Kenny Omega ready for that match. So what we're going to do is actually sign him up to a contract and have him appear in dark matches up until the road to Strong Style 60, which is soon in September. So we won't be competing in today's Strong Style Showdown, but we're going to try and get him ready. And as you can see, Kenny Omega has 2% body health. So at this point, he doesn't have much time left in his career. And I think going out with a bang against Yuma Ayagi, defeating Kenny Omega could be the play. And whilst his performances aren't great, we're going to kind of milk his popularity as much as we can and put it on Yuma Ayagi, as I say, at Strong Style 60. And Kenny Omega doesn't get great performances. He's got a 44 in his last match, which was actually for us at Strong Style 54, but he wasn't match fit. So hopefully he can kind of get into the 50s, if not 60s, if we can get rid of his ring rust in time for, as I say, Strong Style 60. So we're going to bring in Kenny today, and CM Punk does think it's a terrible idea, but we will just do it anyway. And we are signing Cash Wheeler, who is Punk's friend, so hopefully that should counterbalance any issues that he has with Kenny Omega, as I say. So we're going to make it an exclusive written contract, so he can't work elsewhere and kind of get injured there. And we're going to make it ironclad as well, of course. We're going to make it a per-show offer, though, and we're going to make it 3 months long, which will see him stay with us until Strong Style 60. We're going to lower his merchandise to 25%, and we're also going to say that he can only work events and A-shows as well. And I don't think he needs travel with him being in the Southeast, but we're going to make this offer then, and this will be the compromise for Tyler Black not joining us. And apparently working exclusively for you would mean I'd be losing opportunities. Okay, so we're going to offer 3,000 instead of 2,200, and there we go. He's happy to accept that offer, and I think that is the right decision. Another thing I want to do as well is actually up Eagle Blanc's contract offer, and I want to see him potentially stay with us for a little bit longer. He is currently on a 3-year offer, and what I'm actually going to do is increase his wages to 20,000, lower his merchandise if I can, and try and keep him for 4 years instead. And I think he's worth it. And as I said in the last episode, I think there's a big future for Eagle Blanc if we can really utilize his skills inside the ring. And yeah, we're going to try and make him a star of the junior heavyweight division in the coming years. And it's time to commit to him. And he does want that 25% merchandise. Okay, so hopefully a bigger wage and a longer contract will make him more likely to sign with us, of course, and even move to the United States so we don't have to keep paying his travel. So let's go forward a day and see what happens and if there's any counter offers for Kenny Omega. Okay, so we do have some emails, and WXW actually came back with an offer of their own of $18,360. So it looks like we were right to up our bid, and that is a 3-year exclusive contract. So we'll see what his decision is soon. And actually, we need to check whether we're still his preferred offer. There's been a rival offer for PAC as well, and that's Black Label Pro. Is that from today? Yeah, it is. But yeah, I don't think that's going to be considered since it's a per show deal. And yeah, that's the only 2 new emails. But let's check negotiations then, and there are some people willing to sign already. So actually Eagle Blanc has accepted, El Texano Jr. has accepted, Minoru Suzuki has accepted, and Claudio Castagnoli has accepted. So yeah, if you remember in the last episode we ended with a bunch of contract offers. ready for the Strong Style Showdown, and those will be signed today. So Claudio, I think, can come in as a heel, because I think he's going to be taking on Malachi Black in the qualifier. And actually, he's better as a baby face. And yeah, I'm actually going to just bring him in as a face anyway, since that's what he's best at doing. And he will be using his Claudio Castagnoli indie alter ego. So yeah, we'll stick that on. Why not? Next up, let's go with Minoru Suzuki, and he will be coming in as a heel because he's going to be taking on Yuma Ayagi, and I think that makes sense. El Texano Jr. as well will be coming in as a heel from Big Lucha, and he'll be taking on El Hijo del Dr. Wagner Jr. and Eagle Blanc finally can sign his contract, and we don't need to set his heel face alignment because he's already a face in the company. But let's skip forward then and try and get some more contracts signed ahead of the upcoming Strong Style Showdown tour. Okay, so we are on the next day, and earlier in the episode we mentioned some major contracts will be coming up in the next sort of couple of months, and the first has now hit the news as the WWE contract of Gunther is actually expiring. And so far in his WWE career, he is a 2-time WWE World Heavyweight Champion, just like in real life. However, he did it slightly faster in real life. He's also a 2-time Royal Rumble winner, on top of the other things that he's won already, as it stands in real life at least. However, his expected wage would be $168,000 per month. And with WWE making an offer to renew his contract, I think this is one that we're going to have to pass up on, unfortunately. Although Gunther is one of our main sort of long-term targets, that's if he's still able to wrestle for us with his age by the time he does become available with our European roots. But yeah, we're going to have to let him go this time around, and I'm not even going to bother making a contract offer to him, as it would only drive up the price potentially next time if there was an option to sign him in the future. Anyway, no more emails have come through regarding our contracts that we've already offered, but we do have some decisions. So let's first bring in Jessica Troy, who will be returning to the promotion to continue her storyline with Steph Delander. So I need to go and add her into that quickly and make sure I don't forget. I might do it off camera, I'm not entirely sure. But we're going to bring her in as a face anyway, which is what she was doing before she left after her touring contract expired. And then Chris Brooks is also coming in on a touring contract, of course, for the Strong Style Showdown. And he will be coming in, I think, as a face. And I think he can do both. Yeah, he's an amazing heel and an amazing babyface. So yeah, we're going to have him as a face in the junior heavyweight side of things. And we've also got Cash Wheeler coming in, which should please CM Punk, who we're trying to butter up ready for the announcement that Kenny Omega's coming back. And I think Cash will come in as a face. Let me just quickly check his attributes. He will be taking on Shun Skywalker. And yeah, it looks like he can do both. Or at least he's not exceptionally good at either. So we're going to bring him in as a face. And he'll be a babyface going up against Shun Skywalker, as I say. So yeah, let's move forward and continue on. And we've also got the renewal of Eric Hammer, the heavyweight champion's contract. So let's complete that signing. And now we just await Roosh, Pac, Seth Rollins, who we've now conceded on, and Kenny Omega. Okay, so we are on the day of the show, and I forgot to unpause the recording there before I carried on. And basically, all of the contracts that we were waiting on have been confirmed. So Pac, Roosh, and Kenny Omega have all come in to the company without a hitch, and we can also confirm that Seth Rollins or Tyler Black is now all elite. So an interesting development there in the world of wrestling, and unfortunately it didn't go our way this time around, but we'll come back in 18 months for him. And another thing that I talked about before realizing that I was talking into the air is that we've now got 12 wrestlers on house show duties. However, we're not actually going to turn them on just yet because we still have some wrestlers that have commitments elsewhere, such as Shun Skywalker, who has 17 days left on his Dragon Gate and Noah contracts before he then fully becomes exclusive with us. And I think the longest wait that we have is Eagle Blanc, if I'm not mistaken, who has 24 days left on his BZW and WXW contracts. So we're going to wait for those to expire before we start looking at actually putting house shows on, just so that we've got everybody to fully commit and be available for them. And one thing as well that we need to look at is the potential signing of somebody that I've had my eye on for a while once I saw that her contract is expiring, and that is Stephanie Vaquer. Now, of course, she's made quite a name for herself recently in real life since joining NXT and now the main roster in WWE, and in the game she's one hell of a performer. So her aerial skills are 93, flashiness 92, basics 88, stamina 85, and yeah, she's just really, really good across the board and lots of blues to look at there. And I think she would definitely be a really good addition to our women's division to take on the likes of Mayu Iwatani, Jordynne Grace and Killer Kelly. So we're actually going to make an attempt to sign her. Now, I'm not sure if we're going to be successful because WWE have made an offer of their own. And let's actually see if the deal that they've made is a developmental one. It is, so you can see there. So maybe that would give us a slight edge. I'm not entirely sure if it works that way. But so we're going to go with an exclusive contract anyway, exclusive written per month. So it could cost us, I would think, maximum $40,000, but we're going to start with her original asking fee of $26,700 and go from there. I would probably go up to $40,000 if we can get her long term. So I'm going to actually make a 3-year offer and go with whatever is needed. Of course, we're going to up her merchandise to 35% just to give us an extra edge. And that's in comparison to WWE's 15% offer. And where is she currently living? So she's in the tri-state, so we will have to cover her travel. And let's see what she says to this initial offer. I'd accept these terms and seriously consider signing for you unless a better offer comes my way. Okay, so let's check WWE's again. So I don't know whether it's merchandise that's give us the edge there or the 3-year contract. But for now, apparently we're favourites to sign her. And again, it might be because they're offering developmental. But let's make the offer anyway and see what happens in a day. And I'm actually going to come back and double check that we're still her priority tomorrow. And it's worth noting as well, though, that she does have a cracked tailbone, and this is something that she's continuing to perform through. And in terms of when she'll be better, let's take a quick look. So she was injured last month, at the end of last month, and will be back fully fit later this month, so there's no issues there. But let's get forward to tomorrow then, which will be the day of the show of Strong Style Propaganda. And on that show, we're going to be running some qualifiers to advance through to the qualifier for the Strong Style Showdown. So you can see on the screen there are some blank spaces in the brackets, and once the matches on the side of the screen are filled, those matches will take place for a spot in the main eliminator round. Then of course there will be someone advancing through to the final from each of those eliminator rounds. But we'll go through the rules as we get closer to it, but I'm sure you're familiar with it by now. But let's skip forward a day then and see what happens with Stephanie Vaquer. Okay, so we have an update on the Stephanie Vaquer contract, and WWE have actually upped their offer to $30,640. So we'll go in and double check that in just a sec as to whether we're priority. AEW have offered a contract to Nick Wayne, whose deal was coming to an end. And yeah, he is good, but I'm not entirely sure that we need him in the junior heavyweight division right now, as we've just given a contract to Shun Skywalker, Eagle Blanc. We've just brought Roosh in as well as Pac. And yeah, I'm just not really interested in Nick Wayne as it stands. Let's see how long the contract offer is from AEW. So they have offered a 3-year deal, and he is one of the best young wrestlers in the game. And I think by the time his deal comes up, he's going to be even better because he'll be 27. So maybe it is a future option at one point, as he is no doubt a hot prospect in the game. And yeah, he's got Prodigy as well, so he's going to massively get better. But yeah, we'll keep an eye on Nick Wayne, maybe long term, but for now I think we're going to leave him. And another person whose contract is coming to an end is Brian Keefe, and AEW have made an offer to him as well. And yeah, again, somebody I'm not really interested in. He would fall into the heavyweight division, but 37 years old, and somebody that's not that good anyway. So yeah, we'll leave Brian Keefe as well. But let's check the Stephanie Vaquer situation then, and she's seriously considering both offers as it stands. Now, let me just try and work out sort of where I'd be happy in terms of an offer. So Jordynne Grace, the champion, is on $27,000, and then the next up is Malachi Black on $36,000, and then Shun Skywalker is earning $70,000 per month, which is of course great for him. And yeah, I think maybe 35,000, 40,000 would be our limit, but we're going to go up to 30,000 and see what she says. So let's just double check actually what WWE's length was. So yeah, it's 2 years and it's still a developmental deal. So I think we should still have the edge here if we're lucky. I'd accept these terms and seriously consider signing for you unless a better offer comes my way. Okay, so as it stands, Stephanie Vaquer is signing for Strong Style Americas, but we're not going to know whether that contract is officially signed until after the next show, which will be Strong Style Propaganda, as I say. So let's get to that and find out who will advance through to the Strong Style official Showdown. Okay, so I will actually go through and give some people the night off tonight, and I'll be back in just a second, just so there's no sort of backstage incidents that cause any issues. Right, so there we are then. All of the female wrestlers have got the night off because they've just had their own tour, and I'm sure they're exhausted after the Women's World Cup. And yeah, they're just not needed, of course, for the narrative of the Strong Style Showdown. And also anybody that's going to be in a qualification matches here, as well as some other people as well, such as Kenny Omega, who I think is going to be in a dark match, and he'll probably take on Brent Backlund just to try and get rid of his ring rust ahead of a Strong Style 60, as I said earlier. And there's also some other people that could potentially feature in dark matches. So let's go forward then with this skeleton crew and see where we're going to hold tonight's venue. Okay, so we're only expecting 2,976 fans when it's normally just under 10,000. Okay, so something's happened that has damaged our attendance tonight. I'm not entirely sure what, but we're going to work that out later. And it's normally because we run too many shows close together. Now, we did move the last show, Strong Style 58, I think it was, and we delayed it because Steph Delander didn't sign her contract in time. Now I wonder if that's why. But yeah, as I say, we'll work it out in a bit, but for now there's nothing we can do about it. So let's find a venue to hold this show in. It'll be a return to one of the older venues that we used to run, because of course our attendance has dropped tonight. So maybe let's go in around the 3,000 mark. And yeah, I'm going to push it and try and sell out the Cowtown Coliseum, which is a capacity of 3,418, and we're only expecting 2,976. But I think we can put on a hell of a show and maybe bring in more people than that. So we'll find out anyway and select this venue and return to the Cowtown Coliseum. And also we're going to use all of our broadcasters. And for booking team meeting then, let's see how much energy we've got. So 149. So we're going to just try and grab some creative finishes, which we're going to use hopefully during the Strong Style Showdown. And that one's likely to succeed, so we'll keep that. And was that for anyone? Yeah, I think it was. And also let's grab an angle idea as well. This one's likely to succeed for Matt Riddle, who will be in a match tonight, so that might come in handy. And I'm also going to grab a character idea as well. I think it's been a while since we've got one of them, and this one's likely to succeed for anyone. So yeah, we might use that at some point in the near future. And for locker room incidents then, the word backstage is that AJ Mendez and Joseph Finnick Jr. have been getting on particularly well, which is useful because she's currently managing him. And Dave Prazak helped create a fun atmosphere when he pulled a classic rib on Adam Priest. So some good vibes there. And it seems that there's no issues with Adam Priest, at least. But let's do some team bonding then. And team bonding did nothing. Great. Right, so without any further ado, let's book the show. And I'll be back with you in just a second. Right, so it is a fairly straightforward night of action, just so we can get through quicker to the actual Strong Style Showdown. But first we need to establish some of the matches. So we're going to open up things with the dark match that we talked about earlier, as Kenny Omega takes on Brent Backlund in what will be tonight's technical masterclass. And fingers crossed that Kenny Omega doesn't damage his body enough where he has to retire, and hopefully we can get him through to Strong Style 60. We then open up the main card with a commentary breakdown of tonight's action and who their eventual opponents will be if they do advance, before Eagle Blanc takes on Jackson Drake, Myung Jae Lee takes on Lavaniel, and Marshall Von Erich takes on Matt Riddle in the main event, with all of those matches being qualification matches for a spot in the qualification round of the official Strong Style Showdown. So let's play it out then, and it should be a decent card, and I think that main event should be able to hold up. I don't think it's going to be one of our best ever main events by any means, but I think we've to at least get us up in popularity in regions outside of the Mid-South. So let's find out though, as we are in front of 2,898 people. Now I believe that is more than what we were predicted, so that's good, I guess. But we do open up with the dark match then, which gets a 39, so not fantastic. But Kenny Omega has defeated Brent Backlund in 15 minutes 03 by pinfall with a V-trigger. And yeah, Kenny Omega debuted the cleaner gimmick, which got a great and picked up a 41 rating, so not too bad considering his ring rust, with Brent Backlund getting a 27, which is one of his, if not his best performances so far. But let's move on then to the main show, and we open up with a 67 rated promo. And yeah, this isn't as high as normal because everybody that's mentioned in the promo is off screen on the promo just so we could maybe give some people a little bit of a popularity boost. I'm not entirely sure. But in any case, the commentary team break down tonight's propaganda qualification matches to enter the Strong Style Showdown. One space remains open in the heavyweight side of things, with the winner of Matt Riddle versus Marshall Von Erich advancing to face Texas legend Ryan Davidson for a spot in the Showdown Eliminator round. Then we move to the junior heavyweight side of things, where Myung Jae Lee takes on Lavanuel, with the winner facing Zandokan Jr. of Big Lucha, and Eagle Blanc and Jackson Drake open tonight's event with a match against the impressive Roosh on the line. And the Era of Sigma storyline has advanced with this segment and gained heat, luckily, which is Lavanuel's storyline, whilst the Taking Over Texas storyline has started with this segment. And CM Punk got a couple of greens there, taking us up to a decent 67 rated segment, and hopefully the matches can deliver tonight after what I would say is slightly disappointing way to open the show. But we do start off with Eagle Blanc defeating Jackson Drake, advancing through to the Strong Style Showdown in 13 minutes 21 by pinfall with a 450 splash. And Eagle Blanc there with a 58 rated performance, solid from him, and the new exclusive talent has impressed tonight against Jackson Drake, who got a 42, so not too bad himself, with a 56 overall rating, and yeah, that's about where I was expecting it to be. But anyway, let's move on and try and get through this show, as Myung Jae Lee has defeated Lavanuel in 12 minutes 24 by pinfall with a bridging hammerlock, following a botched interference from Genki Horiguchi. So Genki once again trying to use his giant rubber band to no avail, aiming for Myung Jae Lee, hitting Lavanuel, catching him off guard, and allowing Lee to lock in the bridging hammerlock. And yeah, the winner of tonight's match got a 49, so not the best performer, as Lavanuel got a 54. Got some greens there for the management of Genki and also the chemistry between the two, and overall a 59 match is decent enough. And then tonight's main event has picked up a 67, so we're probably looking in at around the mid to low 60s for tonight's show. So yeah, nothing to write home about, but Marshall Von Erich has defeated Matt Riddle in 13 minutes 07 with a moonsault, and the match was designed so that the wrestlers could steal the show, and they did just that. And Marshall Von Erich there with an in-ring performance of 62, so we've gone with the right winner, as Matt Riddle down with a 52. So not the best from him, and he has been taking a lot of losses recently, and I think maybe his popularity is starting to take a hit because of that. And perhaps it's time that we kind of transition him out of the company, and at least as it stands, there's no real long-term plans for him, but there is for Marshall Von Erich, who advances through to the Strong Style Showdown. And let's find out how we got on then, and there is a gimmick change waiting to happen, so we will do that. And this is for Marshall Von Erich, and he will now be known, instead of Von Erich Legacy, he will be known as the Lone Star Renegade. Lone Star, of course, being the nickname of Texas. So let's see how it got on, and it got an adequate, so not great, but not bad, and it's a realistic gimmick that we're going with now. And yeah, that's what we're going to be doing going forward. And overall, we actually got a 59, so a little bit less than what I was hoping for, and perhaps one of our worst shows in a while. But again, the card was nothing special, and it did do a job with us increasing in 44 regions, which is fine. And as for finances, we made $50,000 despite the attendance being down, so we're making a profit nonetheless, but it is several $100,000 less than what it should be. And yeah, you can see lots of yellows there, so there is some movement up in popularity, but not enough to take us into the next number, apart from in Occidente, going up to 11 in Mexico. But let's move on then to the rest of the episode. And we do have a decision for Stephanie Vaquer. So she has signed the contract, which is huge, turning down a spot on the NXT roster, which is something that is surprising that she's still down in NXT in favor of moving to Strong Style Americas. And we've seen movement the other way in the past with Brooke Havoc and King Rex moving to NXT from Strong Style, but in this case we've seen movement the other way now that we can afford monthly contracts. At least I think we can. But let's find out whether she's going to be a face or a heel then. And she is better as a heel actually, but I kind of envisioned her as a babyface, and it does say that she can work a babyface if needed, it just won't be optimal. So I'll give it some thought. And interestingly, she is also the protege of Viano 4, or the 4th, I guess. And we're, of course, known to be associated with the Viano legacy, so that's pretty cool to see. And I do just want to quickly say as well that we do have the second Women's World Cup coming up next year. And we're now adding another nationality that hasn't been in the competition, that being Chile. So if we could have made this signing a couple of months ago, maybe the Women's World Cup would have looked slightly different. But I do want to just point out what kind of ratings she's been getting on her recent performances. So if we go to her recent NXT women's title match, where she took on the champion Megan Bayne and Kalani Jordan, she pulled off a 79 rating. And let's just check another random one. So we'll go to, where's one where she's got a good opponent? She seems to be taking on Paris Van Dale a lot, so let's go and take a look. And she got an 83 in that one, so you can see why we've made the decision to sign her, and she's going to be a great addition to an already stacked women's division, and I think she's a great pickup. So yeah, I'm really happy to have signed Stephanie, and for now I'm going to set her as a babyface, but I might change my mind before she debuts. I'll see. I'll kind of look forward and try and put some plans together for what she's going to do. And WWE did actually make a counter offer today, although the contract was signed. I'm sure this is something with the new patch where decisions are being made faster. I don't know whether it's just me, but it seemed like Eagle Blanc made his decision fairly quickly. And yeah, I don't know, maybe it is something that was accidentally added to the patch, or maybe deliberately, I'm not sure. I didn't see it in the patch notes anyway. But yeah, apparently there was a lack of big names on the last show, which does make sense with it being propaganda, and maybe I should have put a major star in the main event, but I'm completely fine with that. And yeah, I think that'll do for now. But we do have one more thing to do before we move on, and that's actually sign the former Strong Style Heavyweight Champion Wardlow. So what I want to do is have, as one of the qualification matches, a heavyweight title match. And then we're going to do the same as you can see on the bracket in the junior heavyweight side of things. So Kevin Blackwood will be defending his title against LJ Cleary. So two former champions getting the chance to enter the Strong Style Showdown as champion. And whilst you can see that the belt is next to what would be the respective champions at the time in the eliminator round, the title won't be on the line. And again, once we get closer to the show, which will be in a few days' time now, I'll explain the rules. But anyway, let's get to the Wardlow contract negotiations. So we're going to offer, I think, a touring contract for now. And also, it's worth noting as well, at one point, Wardlow was annoyed with me to the point where he didn't want to speak to us again. So it's nice to see that he's kind of put that aside and is willing to work with us again. But yeah, the former champion will be coming in on a touring contract, and his deal will end after the Strong Style Showdown event. So let's try and find the merchandise percentage that I'll be happy with. And he's happy to go with 20%, and so am I. So yeah, $800 per appearance, 20% of merchandise, and travel covered with him living in the Great Lakes. So let's make that offer then and go forward and try and get him in the door before our next show, which will be in 6 days' time. So we need to go forward to him signing the contract, but first I just want to quickly check the creative meeting since we've just debuted some people, or at least re-debuted. So Kenny Omega now comes in as our second best franchise player. So despite him not getting the ratings, he certainly has the star presence and charisma, according to the game. Mayu Iwatani, following her win in the Women's World Cup, is now our #1 franchise player. Sean Skywalker's on there with Jordan Grace and Malachi Black as well. And we still don't have any next big things, but hot prospects, Bojack, Brent Backlund, and Jackson Drake. And I'll just quickly click through the others if you want to check things out. But I noticed that Chris Brooks is on all three Talk the Talk, Showstopper, and Ring Generals, I think. And there's no one on the Who's Not list, which means everybody has good momentum. But anyway, let's get this Wardlow contract signed, and I'll skip forward now. Right, so we are back the next day, and I kind of want to go slowly here because there are some deals expiring around the world. And firstly, though, we do have Taylor Rotunda Storm. So as the social media storm around Taylor Rotunda continues, of course, Bo Dallas, WWE have taken steps to protect themselves from any blowback by releasing a short statement highlighting whatever views their employees express on social media and not necessarily reflective of the company. So I don't know what he's been saying online, but Bo Dallas has got a little bit of heat at the minute on social media, although he does remain with WWE, and it's worth noting that he is still working as Uncle Howdy, so I don't know what's gone on there. And it's also worth pointing out that it's being rumoured that Cody Rhodes is set to leave WWE after apparently not being offered a contract extension. Okay, so the biggest free agent in the world was Tyler Black. He signs with AEW, and now Cody Rhodes is coming to the free agency market. Now, he would be $20,000 per show and $28,000 per month, so I think he's a little bit out of our price range, but maybe we could see the AEW return of Cody Rhodes at some point in the future, so that will be interesting to track. Drew McIntyre's contract is coming to an end as well, and he has been offered a new deal, and again, it's not something we're going to be able to compete with, much like the Gunther situation. Will Ospreay and Alex Windsor are now married, so that's nice to see. Jay White to re-sign, so Jay White, who I think was one of my top targets, has been offered a new contract, and again, $100,000 per month is not something I'm interested in competing with. Kyle O'Reilly is also been offered a new contract, and he's 50,000-ish, and again, I don't want to compete with that. Jade Cargill is staying with WWE, and the rumour mill has shot into life with indications that WWE have not offered a contract extension to Razar. Now, you might wonder why I'm interested in this, but if you remember, Strong Style Americas was originally Strong Style Amsterdam and was based in the Netherlands, and Razar is Dutch, so he is from the homeland, so to speak, of Strong Style Americas. So he would be someone I'd be interested in bringing in. He's not exactly fantastic, but maybe we'll consider offering him a touring contract at some point, but it's interesting nonetheless. And Queen Amanita finally is today's latest contract news, and she is staying with AEW. You can see now that Miranda Elise has officially left Reality of Wrestling after signing her exclusive deal, and Marshall Von Erich has left Ring of Honor and Reality of Wrestling as well. And you can see the Jay White and Drew McIntyre news, and unfortunately we're not going to be able to speak to them. And let me know what you think about Cody Rhodes as well, and if we bring him maybe for a tour on a per show basis. I don't know if he fits the vibe, to be fair, but let me know what you think anyway in the comments, and yeah, I'll have a read through. But for now, we're going to leave Cody. But he is based in the Mid-South, so he is a local boy. But we'll see how it goes going forward. And he does have incredible popularity. So, I don't know. Yeah, let me know what you think. But let's advance forward then and try and get Wardlow signed. And I'm going to go step by step because there are some deals expiring, as I say. And yet another contract is expiring on the next day, and it is Buddy Matthews, a former AEW World Champion at this point, and it looks like AEW want to keep him, and again, I don't really want to spend $50,000 on another contract right now, so I'm happy for him to stay there. And in other free agency news, Soledad Morales, who we've actually seen before, she's a regen for CMLL, has her contract expiring as well. And she has won a bunch of awards on the save, so she is a three-time winner of the Female Young Wrestler of the Year, and CMLL have made her an offer to stay with them. And I think we're just going to, again, leave her. $47,000 per month isn't something I'm interested in. She doesn't even work in the United States either, and I'm assuming they've offered her an exclusive deal, so we're going to just leave that one once again. And we do have a decision to make for Wardlow, so let's complete his signing and bring him in as a heel to take on the champion and potentially enter the Showdown as champion himself. We did, of course, have a drop in attendance for the last show, and I suspect we're actually going to have this drop for the rest of the month. Now, I don't know that for sure, but when we have had drops like this in the past, it's normally reset at the end of the month. Now, I can only assume that this has happened, and I don't know why this makes any sense, but because we messed with the schedule last time around and moved Strong Style 58 to a Saturday on the final day of the month. And I don't know if the game's now considered that as this month. I don't even know what's happened, to be fair. I don't really fully understand the system. But how we had the system set up before, there was absolutely no problems with attendance, as you can see. So I'm just assuming it's going to be a 1 month thing, hopefully, unless it's something linked to the economy or the wrestling business. But I don't believe so. Yeah, we're still very strong, but we are falling. So perhaps it's linked to that, but I don't think it will be that dramatic. So I'm anticipating a drop in attendance for the rest of the month. And what I have been tempted to do is move everything forward a month and just kind of skip forward, but I can't really be bothered, to be honest. So I'm actually just going to play through this month, and especially with us having now fixed costs for wages every month. So we're going to be spending several $1,000s on contracts, into the hundreds of thousands of dollars of contracts on per month deals now. We kind of can't afford just to skip a month of revenue. And since the last show made profit anyway, I think we're just going to go with it. So yeah, the Strong Style Showdown tour won't be as great in terms of attendance as we'd hoped, but hopefully it will be as good in terms of ratings and in terms of increasing our popularity now that we have invested in our broadcaster. So yeah, this is going to be the most widely broadcasted tour of the company so far. So let's go forward, and unless anything happens, we'll bring you Strong Style Showdown Night 1. Okay, so we are back with some contract news, and unfortunately the contract of Kazuchika Okada is set to be renewed by AEW. And again, $150,000 per month is not something I want to compete with. And is there any other interesting news I can see? I don't think so, but we do have news that Malachi Black has left Reality of Wrestling, LJ Cleary has left Pro Wrestling Noah, Jordan Grace has left TNA and MLW, and I think that's all for now, at least for departures of our now exclusive talent. But again, let's skip forward. Okay, so the AEW contract of Adam Page is expiring, and he has been offered an extension as well. And there has been no kind of moves from WWE to AEW, at least in this round of negotiations and contract expiries, at least from what I've noticed. But let's skip forward one more day then, which is when we'll have our show. Okay, we are on the day of the show then, and it's finally time to get into night 1. But first, we do have news that the Elite have now officially disbanded, and I don't think that's any surprise because one of the Young Bucks left the company, and I'm not sure what the final sort of formation of the Elite was, but apparently they are no more. So yeah, thought that was worth pointing out. But we do have news of several people joining us now with their touring contracts being signed, and we also have news that Shun Skywalker has left Pro Wrestling Noah and Dragon Gate and is officially, finally, exclusive to Strong Style Americas, which is a huge coup for us, and as I said before, is my favourite wrestler of the series so far. So I'm finally happy to see that we are now his #1 priority. And actually, speaking of that, let's see if he'll move to America just yet. And he has, okay, so I will do that, and he's now living in the Mid-South. Now, it's probably worth at some point going through and getting everybody to do that, but I'm not going to waste any more time. So let's get to Strong Style Showdown Night 1, which will be tonight. And hopefully attendance has fixed itself. And nobody will get the night off tonight. We're just going to bring everybody in and hope for the best. Hope there's not too much friction backstage. And let's select venue. And yeah, the attendance is still low, isn't it? So we're just going to return to the Cowtown Coliseum and try and sell it out at some point this month with one of our lesser shows. So yeah, select this venue and let's return to the Coliseum. Let's use all of our broadcasters, and for booking team meeting, we do still have a spot left on the team, so maybe we should add Chris Brooks, because I believe he does have booking skill, and maybe that could convince me to give him a permanent contract. So remind me to do that if I haven't done it by the end. But let's grab some creative finishes that we can use as the tour goes on. And that one, we've got 2 big gambles so far. We'll probably delete those. We've got another one that's a bit of a gamble. It's really annoying. Maybe we go with a character idea. Once again, I think we got one in the first show. And this one's a near certainty for Shun Skywalker. Okay, so let's go and use that in just a second. As for locker room incidents, Steve Austin and Bojack have been hanging around, and Steve is now having an influence on him, which is, I guess, good. And LJ Cleary's training Brent Backlund, and that's all, so nothing bad. And let's actually try, now that everybody's here, to go with another team bonding and see how that goes. So there is new tensions between a few people, and we've strengthened the relationship between some people as well. Good and bad, I guess. But let's move on to the character idea for Shun Skywalker, and we may as well apply it. It's not like he needs more momentum or anything, but it will make him happier, even though he's very happy. But yeah, we can't use it on anyone else exactly, can we? So we may as well. And we do have another one for somebody else on the roster that I might use that soon. But let's put this Shun Skywalker one on first. And I'm actually going to apply the next character idea to, I think, Wardlow. So he is annoyed in the company, so maybe it will help fix that. And it'll also give him some momentum heading into tonight's title match. And it can only help the rating, can't it? So let's go with that then, and give this creative idea to Wardlow. And he's still annoyed and has chilly momentum. So I missed it, but it must have failed. Oh, okay. I just assumed it would work, but apparently not. But anyway, let's book the show. Okay, so tonight we have a total of 6 matches. One of those is a dark match, and the other 5 will see the winner qualify for the Strong Style Showdown Eliminator round. So this leaves 5 more qualification matches that will take place tomorrow night, and then the Eliminator round will then take place next week, with 2 former champions having already automatically qualified, those being Alex Kane on the heavyweight side of things and Viano Free Jr. on the junior heavyweight side of things. And each Eliminator match will be a 6-man elimination match, so everybody in the same ring at the same time, and pinfall and submission will apply. The champion of each division will of course be in the Eliminator matches as well, and if somebody can manage to eliminate the champion, they earn themselves a title shot at Strong Style 60. And not only that, but the winner of each Eliminator match will advance through to the Strong Style Showdown final, and then the winner of the Grand Final takes home the trophy. So let's go back to tonight's card though and find out what's going to be happening, as we've got Kenny Omega taking on Malcolm Monroe III, who is here on a local workers deal, and they're just going to have a short match to try and warm Kenny Omega back up, ready for one last run. And then we go to the commentary breakdown to open up the main show before we go into Eric Hammer versus Wardlow for the Strong Style Heavyweight Championship, and the winner of that will enter the Strong Style Showdown as champion. Then we're going to see a hell of a match between Pac and Chris Brooks in the junior heavyweight side of things before Ryan Davidson takes on Marshall Von Erich, the Battle of the Texans on the heavyweight side of things. And then we've got a Texas celebration after that match, which will see the winner, of course, celebrate before Yuma Ayagi takes on Minoru Suzuki, again in the heavyweight side of the bracket. And then we main event with what should be one of the best matches of this round at least, Shun Skywalker versus Cash Wheeler. And we do have somebody on the card tonight that's unhappy about losing, and that's why this bar is yellow, but there's nothing we can do about it because the result is going to remain the result. So let's go forward then into the show itself, and we have the opening dark match where Kenny Omega has defeated Malcolm Monroe III in 6 minutes 15 by pinfall with a V-trigger. And yeah, just very simple, short match for Kenny Omega, getting himself a win, getting a 45 in-ring performance in the process, whilst Malcolm got a 37. So nothing to write home about, but again, just trying to get rid of that ring rust from Kenny Omega before he goes to Strong Style 60. And he was off his game, which also affected his rating, but 51 overall for a dark match isn't so bad. And then we go to the opening promo of the show itself, where the commentary team break down how for the first time ever, the Strong Style Showdown has 5 open spots in each eliminator round, with half of the spaces set to be filled tonight. And we could see 2 new champions tonight and tomorrow, as Eric Hammer defends his Strong Style Heavyweight title against former champion Wardlow, whilst former junior heavyweight champion LJ Cleary gets another shot at Kevin Blackwood's title tomorrow night, with a spot in the eliminator round up for grabs for both title matches. And we've got some greens across the board for CM Punk, Brent Backlund and Ultramantis Black, helping us get an 86, which should help our overall show rating tonight. But let's go forward and go to the opening match then and find out who will be the first person to qualify for the eliminator match, aside from Viano and Alex Kane. And it is Eric Hammer that has defeated Wardlow in 7 minutes 6 seconds. So it's a very short match because we didn't have a lot of time to fit 5 matches on tonight's card. But in any case, Wardlow got himself intentionally counted out, with Eric Hammer making defense number 5 of the Strong Style Heavyweight title. So Wardlow very much giving up fairly early tonight, refusing the fight and walking away, leaving Eric Hammer as still champion. And yeah, I don't think we've actually done an intentional count out before, so yeah, something new tonight, and showing the dominance of Eric Hammer right now, who was just too much for the former champion. And Eric Hammer had an in-ring performance of 58, and the cowardly Wardlow had an in-ring performance of 49, and got a great for his Mr. Mayhem gimmick as well, which is good to see. And yeah, 60 rated match to kick off the show is pretty solid. And then we go up to 62, and actually it's slightly worse than what I was expecting, but it was a technical masterclass but the crowd were already rowdy. Okay, so I've done this thinking that because we had 2 short matches first, the crowd would still be up for a technical masterclass, but apparently not. But in any case, PAC has defeated Chris Brooks in 14 minutes 56 by submission with a brutalizer after blatantly cheating, and now PAC has qualified for the Strong Style Showdown Eliminator. And PAC got an in-ring performance of 60, so very disappointing from him, especially with his usual standards. And Chris Brooks was actually the man of the match with a 69. And I think, yeah, the terrible performances was all down to that poor placement from me in a technical masterclass. But a 62 overall is okay, at least it's better than our opening match. But let's move on then to an even better match with a 68 this time, as Ryan Davidson has defeated Marshall Von Erich in 11 minutes 57 by pinfall with a fast roll-up. So he's caught Marshall very much off guard at the end of this match, and Marshall just doesn't seem to be himself right now, and whatever's going on inside his head has kind of distracted him, and Ryan Davidson has taken advantage of it. And Davidson got a 68 and Von Erich got a 65, so we've picked the right winner in that regard. And the Taking Over Texas storyline has advanced with this segment and gained heat, so that confirms that the Taking Over Texas storyline that we talked about earlier is between Davidson and Von Erich, the 2 Texas locals. And yeah, they've actually got great chemistry, which is a good sign for the storyline and the payoff that will eventually happen. And as I say, 68 overall is pretty good. And then after the match, Marshall Von Erich sits in the corner of the ring deflated, looking on as Ryan Davidson receives the adulation of the Texas crowd. Ryan offers Von Erich a hand up, but Marshall refuses and rolls out of the ring instead. A planted fan that we've actually put in the audience ourselves has thrown a Texas flag into the ring, with Davidson holding it above his head before throwing up the horns hand sign. Von Erich then looks back, seemingly tempted to go back to the ring, but he does end up refraining. And there's no changes to the heat, but that's fine, and 65 overall, as Marshall Von Erich is getting better at his new Lone Star Renegade gimmick. Let's move on to the next match then, and a lack of chemistry has cost us in this one, as Yuma Ayagi has defeated Minoru Suzuki in 8 minutes 36, so again quite a short match for what we're normally used to, as Yuma has defeated Suzuki to qualify for the Strong Style Showdown. And Ayagi there with a 64, Suzuki with a 42, so of course we've picked the right winner, and that was always going to be the case. And hopefully this has given, at the very least, Yuma a slight boost in popularity, defeating the veteran there, but the match rating probably won't help his cause. And Suzuki's The King gimmick got inadequate, and again, lack of chemistry has seen us end up with a 61. So we need the main event really to deliver tonight, and let's find out if it did. And we got 82, so that'll do. Although again, a bit of bad luck as both men were off their game, so it would have been even better had that not been the case. But anyway, Shun Skywalker has defeated Cash Wheeler in 14 minutes 36 by pinfall with an SSW after a distraction from a masked man. And this is one of the masked men that attacked Hate at the end of Tyler Bates' final match, if you remember. And it looks like that storyline starting to fizzle back up after the Women's World Cup tour led to a short break from it. And maybe we'll find out soon who the masked men are, but it seems that they're in the corner of Shun Skywalker for this Strong Style Showdown. And will they be neutralized before the end of the competition? But Shun Skywalker got an in-ring performance of 78, so not quite at his usual best. But again, he was off his game, and so was Cash Wheeler, who got a 63. Cash Wheeler's traditionalist gimmick got a poor, which is not good. But they did have pretty good chemistry, though, so that's kind of a counterbalance to them being off their game. Shinsuke Nakamura did some good work at ringside as well for Skywalker in his corner, and Shun also benefited from a hot new move, so lots of greens, a couple of reds, but nonetheless a solid main event with an 86. But the main thing is, have we increased in the rest of the United States outside of the Mid-South? We'll find out in just a second. But we've got a 71 overall, which isn't too bad, and it would have been worse had we not made those production value upgrades in the last episode. And we've increased in 44 regions, so I'll take that. And that might actually be a sellout of the Coliseum as well. If we look, we've got 3,418 people in the building. I think it's near enough a sellout at least. And in terms of finances, we made a profit once again, so that's good, with $57,985 coming into the bank. But for popularity recap then, have we gone up anywhere? And we have, in the Southwest to 37 and in the Tri-State to 19. So I'll take that. And we've also gone up in Canada, in Quebec, Saskatchewan and Manitoba to 14 as well. So solid progress as we continue on then. The main thing I wanted to check actually is how our viewership has been affected by the upgrade to our broadcaster. So if we take a look at Strong Style Women's World Cup Night 3, it was watched by a total of 74,347 viewers, so let's call it 75, compared to Propaganda, which was also a lesser show, the same as Night 3 of the Women's World Cup, and that got 131,000 viewers. Okay, so there is a massive increase there, over 50,000, and tonight by another 22-ish thousand to 153,000 viewers on the night. So I think that broadcast upgrade was worth it, as we're now definitely in front of more eyes, and maybe we'll see bigger increases per night, and maybe we'll start to see that really take into effect when we get to the Strong Style Showdown event, which will be, of course, a main show and not a lesser show. So that's probably where we'll see the true impact of the upgrade. But for now, let's not waste any more time and get into the road to Strong Style Showdown Night 2. So nobody's going to be getting the night off. We're just going to have everybody in the building. In terms of venue, once again, we're just going to go to the Cowtown Coliseum. And let's just double check if we did sell it out. And yeah, I think we did. 3,418 capacity. You know what? We're going to just make all of these Road 2 shows take place at the Cowtown Coliseum. So let's go there and select this venue. And for finalizing broadcasters, let's use all of them. And for booking team meeting, we still have that open spot. I need to add Chris Brooks. I'm going to do it as soon as we've come out of this pre-game stuff. But let's spend some creative energy on creative finishes and try and get some in the bank for our main show. And we've got one that's likely to succeed, so that's fine. I'm going to grab another one. This one's a safe bet. So yeah, we should be able to put on a good card at the Strong Style Showdown main event. And let's also grab a storyline idea. Why not? We've got a few new ones that we're starting to cook up, and this one's a near certainty for anyone. So we're going to use that. And for locker room incidents, Chris Brooks and Myung Jae Lee really helped create a fun atmosphere backstage with a karaoke competition, so that's lovely to see. And LJ Cleary was training with Brent Backlund as well, and Wardlow came to you backstage with an angle idea. Okay, it's been automatically added to our creative ideas, so that's fine. We're going to take a look at that in just a second, but we're going to, for now, actually do a little bit of meddling and try and ease the tensions between Kenny Omega and CM Punk. And it does say that it's unlikely to do anything, but let's see what happens. And let's check this Wardlow creative idea as well. And it's an angle idea and it's extremely risky, so sorry, Wardlow, we're going to have to delete that. Right, so I don't normally do this, but I haven't quite finished the show just yet, and I haven't really got time to finish it. It's currently the Monday, the day that you're going to see this video, and instead of kind of delaying the release of this episode any longer, and it's been long enough at this point, I'm just going to release it as it is. And I think going forward, any episodes that come out, I'm going to try and make sure that they're weekly, and whatever is done within that week will be the episode, and whether that's a full tour or one show or even just a bunch of admin, and I'm going to try and stick to that. So we're going to leave this one here, as I say, but in the next episode we will be coming back with the Road to Strong Style Showdown Night 2. But let me know what your predictions are for the Strong Style Showdown, who you think the masked men are for Shun Skywalker, and let me know what you think of potentially bringing in Cody Rhodes at some point, who is no doubt right now the hottest free agent on the market. But if you have enjoyed today's episode, make sure you drop a like down below and make sure that you're subscribed with notifications turned on so you don't miss the next episode, which will feature the rest of the Strong Style Showdown. And until next time, peace.